The recent news of the FBI raiding Rick Harrison's property stunned fans of the reality TV star, known for Pawn Stars. With agents swarming the house, the world watched as reports flooded in about the shocking discoveries made inside. Harrison, once celebrated for his savvy business dealings, and charisma, found himself at the center of a legal storm no one could have predicted. What exactly did the FBI uncover that led to such dramatic action, and what deeper truths does it reveal about the man behind the fame? Stick with us until the end of this video to explore the answer. But before we jump in, support us by subscribing to our channel. All profiles. Thanks a lot. During a podcast interview, Rick Harrison suddenly cut off the discussion when questioned about a mysterious warehouse near Las Vegas, allegedly connected to him. However, the most noticeable shift was not his silence, but his increasingly enigmatic behavior. People close to him disclosed that Rick started using pseudonyms for real estate deals. The name Eric Lane frequently appeared in records linked to at least 4 houses and 2 commercial properties, all situated near his well-known pawn shop. These properties were renovated but remained vacant. Rick reportedly utilized encrypted communication tools like WhatsApp Signal and specialized email apps for business dealings. A former IT technician who upgraded his security system mentioned that Rick was highly cautious about being monitored, avoiding any devices that could store information. In 2022, Rick unexpectedly dismissed 3 employees on the same day without warning, explanation, or severance pay. These employees reportedly voiced concerns over the strange activities they had observed, including late-night meetings in the pawn shop basement, mysterious deliveries, and USB sticks exchanged between Rick and unidentified individuals. Kyle Mason, once a warehouse manager, took initiative by documenting everything he could, license plates, times, and faces. Though uncertain of the situation, he felt something was amiss. Eventually, he handed the information over to the FBI. From there, events unfolded. The Bureau couldn't act immediately, but quietly formed a special investigative team. They conducted surveillance and discreetly gathered financial documents. The deeper they probed, the more disturbing their findings became. Rick Harrison was not just an eccentric figure or a wealthy privateer. Beneath the familiar facade of the renowned pawnbroker lay a complex, concealed, and questionable world. The flaws in his empire were no longer surface level. They were deeply embedded in its structure. Anyone observant could see the cracks widening. When the public began noticing the names and headlines, it was too late. However, for those who had been observing, listening to whispers, and witnessing Rick's increasingly violent behavior, this downfall wasn't surprising. It was inevitable. Then on a chilly Tuesday morning, an unexpected email arrived in Special Agent Leah Cortez's inbox at the FBI's Las Vegas office. At first glance, it appeared to be a harmless message filled with rambling accusations, awkward phrasing, and numerous typos. The subject line was straightforward. Pawn Star is not what he seems. Among the many anonymous messages, one email stood out. It was methodical, detailing dates, locations, and names. But what really caught Cortez's attention was the attachment. The photo, though blurry, clearly depicted Rick Harrison in a private conversation with Roman Zavics, a man under federal surveillance. Zavik, a Ukrainian national, was suspected of running an intricate human trafficking network from Eastern Europe to the American Southwest. He was known for frequently changing his name and appearance, moving like a phantom. Rick Harrison being in the same room with Zavitz, seemingly whispering to him, could not have been a mere coincidence. This photo was the first piece of a larger puzzle setting off a series of events. The sender, who identified himself as JM, claimed to have worked as a logistics contractor on projects involving Rick. He alleged to have witnessed packages being delivered to a secluded property Rick owned in Henderson. There were no customs checks, no paperwork, no trace, just boxes, a few vehicles, and armed guards. The last sentence of the email was brief, yet left a haunting impression. Up to this point, everything was merely the surface, yet the FBI couldn't dismiss it. What started as an anonymous tip from JM, who claimed indirect involvement with Rick, was evolving into a chilling series of revelations. To uncover the truth, they needed to dig deeper. Agents began investigating Rick's personal real estate holdings, employing drones, thermal imaging, and satellite imagery to inspect properties owned by him or affiliated companies under various aliases. One particularly notable property was located in the Nevada desert about 45 minutes from Las Vegas. Thermal data uncovered an underground structure nearly double the size of the home's ground floor. Yet no building permits existed, nor any records of a legal contractor being employed. This raised the question, what was Rick concealing underground? The breakthrough came when a worker from the property in 2021 stepped forward. He was a subcontractor hired to install steel doors, soundproofing insulation, and a biometric electronic locking system. Initially, he believed it was merely a private retreat for a wealthy, eccentric person. However, his perspective shifted when he was asked to vacate the construction site for 48 hours to accommodate a special delivery. Until now, everything was just the beginning. However, the FBI couldn't overlook it. What started as an anonymous tip from JM, who claimed to have worked indirectly with Rick, was evolving into a chilling series of facts. To uncover the truth, they knew they had to dig deeper. Agents began investigating Rick's real estate assets. They employed drones, thermal imaging, and satellite imagery to examine properties owned by him or linked to him through various aliases. One particularly intriguing site was located in the Nevada desert about 45 minutes from Las Vegas. Thermal imaging revealed an underground structure nearly twice the size of the house's ground floor. Yet there were no building permits issued nor any record of a legitimate contractor being employed. This raised the question among investigators. What was Rick concealing underground? The breakthrough came when someone who had worked on the property in 2021 decided to speak up. He was a subcontractor hired to install steel doors, soundproofing insulation, and a biometric electronic locking system. Initially, he assumed it was merely a private retreat for a wealthy, eccentric individual, but his perspective shifted when he was asked to vacate the site for 48 hours to accommodate a special delivery. Upon his return, he encountered several unfamiliar individuals, none of whom spoke English, all carrying weapons. After finishing his task, he took the money and chose not to come back. This revelation marked a significant breakthrough in the investigation. The Bureau swiftly began preparing a search warrant, which was promptly approved. A task force was formed comprising specialists in financial crimes, human trafficking, and agents skilled in rapid intrusion techniques. The plan was meticulously crafted: strike at dawn, seize full control of the property, and gather all evidence before anyone could hide their tracks or interfere externally. At dawn on a February morning, the operation commenced. Within moments, the compound was secured with teams efficiently clearing the ground floor and detaining everyone present. However, the discovery in the basement took them by surprise. It was more than just a room. It was an entire complex. The findings astonished the entire investigation team, and news spread rapidly within and beyond the agency. The morning was unusually serene, even for Las Vegas. As the sun rose over the mountains, a convoy of black federal cars quietly navigated a private road, weaving through desert foliage. At the center of this operation was Rick Harrison, now recognized as more than just a TV personality or pawnbroker. The FBI suspected they were dealing with a covert operation far more intricate and expansive than initially predicted. What they uncovered was merely the beginning. Within Rick's secluded estate, he remained asleep as the clock ticked past 6:00 a.m. The expansive mansion in suburban Henderson was enveloped in darkness except for a lone, flickering light in the main driveway. The security system was active with sensors encircling the perimeter and 5 surveillance cameras watching every angle of the front gate. Yet none of these devices anticipated the impending event. A task force approached in utter silence. Unlike ordinary assault teams, this was an elite unit trained for high-risk operations. Every move had been meticulously planned and practiced over weeks. Utilizing satellite and drone imagery, they had mapped the property, identifying every entrance-exit blind spot and possible resistance area. Their mission was straightforward: infiltrate, quickly secure the location, and capture all evidence before any reaction could occur. Time was critical. A single deleted file, destroyed hard drive, or phone call could jeopardize years of investigation. The command to proceed was issued in a hushed tone by the leader. The initial entry point was a steel door on the garage's side, reinforced and locked from within. It was breached with a controlled explosion strong enough to surprise but not damage the house's structure. This was Rick's only warning. As 3 teams moved in simultaneously through the main entrance, the rear sliding door, and the utility room near the guest house, they used stun lights to prevent anyone inside from reacting. Within 30 seconds, the agents secured the entire compound. Laser sights flickered across walls and door frames. As each room was meticulously searched, Rick found dazed in his bedroom, struggled to adjust to the light, and exclaimed, "What the hell is going on?" He received no answer as he was swiftly handcuffed, relieved of his personal items, and escorted outside in his pajamas. Two others were also detained, a woman in her mid-30s and an older man in tactical cargo pants. Neither appeared on any legal business documents associated with Rick, later identified as unregistered foreign nationals. The 80,000-square-foot mansion, adorned with marble tiles, antiques, personal mementos, and photographs of Rick with famous figures, radiated classic elegance, resembling a personal museum of history and accomplishments. Rare military medals and antique books were neatly displayed on tables and in glass cases, all meticulously clean. Everything seemed ordinary until they discovered a hidden door behind a fake bookshelf deep within a section of the house not shown on any official blueprints. The agents discovered a steel door devoid of a handle equipped solely with a biometric scanner. This finding confirmed their initial suspicions and marked the pivotal moment of the operation. The door, locked by biometric security, lacked any traditional means of entry, requiring Rick's fingerprints, retinal scans, or DNA for access. Brought to the scanner, Rick appeared bewildered, stating, "I don't know what this is," to which an agent replied, "We do." Hesitantly, Rick placed his hand on the scanner, prompting a beep and the mechanical sound of the door as it slowly opened, revealing a narrow spiral staircase leading down to a stark basement, contrasting sharply with the luxury above. Gone were the marble floors and shimmering lights. The basement was cold and industrial, with concrete walls flickering fluorescent lights, and the echoing hum of ventilation machines contributing to the ominous atmosphere. As the agents descended, they encountered numerous locked rooms, each with a distinct purpose. One room housed hard drives marked with cryptic codes. Another contained foreign passports, predominantly those belonging to young individuals. A third room served as a monitoring center with screens displaying surveillance footage from both inside the house and undisclosed locations. However, the final room silenced the air, its chill palpable. It was a makeshift holding cell constructed with reinforced concrete walls, iron bars, a single bed, a floor drain, and a bucket. Though vacant signs of recent use were evident, scratches on the walls and an abandoned bracelet still attached to a chain. An agent emerged from the room, leaned against the wall, and vomited, overwhelmed by the suffocating atmosphere. During an hour, the federal forensics team had secured the area and started documenting all evidence. Meanwhile, TV stations arrived outside. News of the raid had leaked drawing cameras toward the house. The public was unaware of the details, but they would soon learn. Rick Harrison remained silent from the outset, choosing to assert his right to refrain from answering, only stating that his lawyer would provide explanations. His phone, seized at the scene, quickly emerged as crucial evidence. It contained encrypted messages, photos, coordinates, lists of codes, names, and notably conversations with suspected human traffickers. Some messages included directives to transfer money to offshore accounts. What once seemed hypothetical has now become concrete with timestamps and undeniable evidence. By 10:00 a.m., federal agents began loading trucks with seized evidence, including hard drives, cash boxes, security backups, and a particularly significant handwritten notebook, which became the investigation's focal point. The notebook contained aliases, payment dates, and peculiar symbols later linked to illegal activities. Outside, the House reporters gathered, creating chaos. News spread rapidly on social media, far beyond the authorities' control. The initially discreet raid quickly became a hot issue, capturing public attention. Early reports stunned the public, linking Rick Harrison's name to the startling revelations from the secret basement. That same day, the History Channel declared it would halt all Pawn Stars broadcasts until further details emerged. By day's end, Rick Harrison was officially held in federal custody, without bail, facing numerous grave charges such as human trafficking, conspiracy, money laundering, illegal surveillance, and exploiting an unregistered alien. In the interrogation room, Rick stayed silent for hours while investigators in another room grew increasingly anxious. Rick's name wasn't the only one discovered in the confiscated data, hinting at a far more extensive network than initially suspected. The raid had concluded, but the true investigation was just beginning. By sunset on the day of Rick's arrest, the FBI's Las Vegas office had evolved into an emergency operations center, its walls covered with photos, diagrams, timelines, and detailed digital file printouts. A team of agents worked tirelessly to decode, analyze, and piece together the truth about the man once trusted by the nation. As evidence began to dismantle his carefully crafted image, their findings revealed not a single crime, but a sophisticated, deliberately constructed system developed over time, not a mere impulsive act or error. They uncovered proof of a meticulously sustained double life spanning years, possibly decades, with Rick Harrison's Henderson Estates basement as merely the starting point. Concealed behind walls disguised as heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, HVAC equipment agents discovered a hidden vault containing 13 meticulously encrypted hard drives. Initially, the alphanumeric labels on the drives appeared nonsensical. However, after deciphering the first two, a discernible pattern emerged. The drives contained folders categorized by geographic locations, from Bangkok to Kiev, Santo Domingo to Tana City, and many other cities. Each folder was packed with spreadsheets, documents, videos, and communication logs. Most disturbing were the passport-style photos, often with names, ages, and brief descriptions, all encrypted. It soon became apparent to the FBI that they were dealing with records not of employees or clients, but of victims trafficked across borders in an extensive, sophisticated network. The spreadsheets disclosed intricate details of transactions, including arrival times, delivery locations, intermediaries, and exchange rates. Some entries were marked as withdrawn, while others were simply erased. One document from March 2021 was labeled Dom LV House, listing 8 individuals, 7 women and 1 man, aged between 14 and 22. Beside each name were disturbing annotations like broken English, disoriented bruise on left shoulder, suitable for cameras and preference for buyers using euros. The notes were not only cruel, but also detached, reducing people to mere inventory. On 3 separate hard drives, agents found similar files, each highlighting a different aspect of the system. One set concentrated on cash flows leading to offshore bank accounts under Harrison's shell companies in the Cayman Islands, Dubai, and Singapore. Other documents contained internal communications with associates using various code names, operating in different regions, yet clearly connected through shared logistics notes. The puzzle pieces slowly fit together, revealing not just the gravity of the incident, but also a network far more organized, strategic, and enduring than anyone had anticipated. A memory card with personal data was discovered at Rick's home, unsecured, adding to the seriousness of the case. From a sophisticated financial system to media manipulation, cryptic notes, and covert business operations, an unexpected picture emerged. Rick was more than a notable figure in the business world. He was suspected of being the mastermind, the central figure of a complex, multi-layered network. When the FBI submitted its report to the U.S. Attorney's Office, the case was elevated to national importance. A task force was established. Federal units were deployed, and the investigation spread across several states. Initial steps were taken discreetly. Search warrants issued, associates subpoenaed, yet the media remains unaware of the full story. However, this won't last. Leaked documents are set to be released. Former employees, once silent, are beginning to speak out. When the truth comes to light, the world will no longer view Rick Harrison as a friendly TV businessman, but as someone who leveraged his fame and influence for unforeseen purposes. And that brings us to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it and want to learn more about remarkable people, be sure to subscribe to our channel, all profiles, and enable notifications. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.